A woman loses someone very important in her life. From that moment on, she quietly waits for the chance to find the person responsible. But when that moment finally comes, she does not choose a typical path of revenge. Instead, she begins to set up something far more calculated and dangerous. A serial killer gets only 15 years for 7 murders. The justice system fails, but the victim's daughter doesn't forget. While police watch the killer every second, someone else is planning something far worse. This isn't a revenge story. This is a perfectly calculated nightmare. The story opens not with a hero, but with a failure of justice. In a crowded courtroom, a serial killer named Kim receives his sentence. He is convicted of only 1 murder, though he is suspected in 7 gruesome killings. Due to a lack of evidence for the other 6, the court can only give him 15 years in prison. The families of his victims are devastated, craving an execution that will never come. Among those destroyed is a little girl named Nam Hee-ju. Her father was a police detective, brutally murdered by Kim during his investigation. One night, as her father walked home, Kim emerged from the shadows and slit his throat. The detective, in his dying moments, managed to stumble back to his apartment, where his young daughter Hee-ju lay sleeping. He collapses and dies before her eyes. The next morning, his partner, Detective Yang, arrives to find Hee-ju alone, happily setting up a birthday celebration for her father, completely unaware he is already dead. It is a scene of heartbreaking innocence shattered. In the later, we see the aftermath. Hee-ju is now a young woman, living with the trauma. Her mother had long ago divorced her father and remarried an abusive gambling husband, leaving Hee-ju essentially alone in the world. She was raised by the kind Detective Yang, her father's old partner, who became her guardian. She now works part-time as a cleaner at the police station, a quiet, helpful presence who hands out pink ribbons for breast cancer awareness. The officers there treat her with great respect and affection, a legacy of their regard for her murdered father. Meanwhile, the wheels of fate begin to turn again. Kim, the serial killer, has finished his 15-year sentence and walks out of prison a free man. Waiting for him outside the gates is none other than Detective Yang, now a chief. Yang throws food in Kim's face as a bitter greeting. He promises Kim that if he ever finds solid evidence linking him to any new crime, he will personally ensure Kim gets the death penalty he escaped years ago. Kim merely smirks, asking if Yang still believes he committed all those old murders. The hatred between them is palpable and fresh. Back at the police station, Yang's superior officer informs him of Kim's release. He orders Yang to place Kim under immediate surveillance. The fear is clear. A man with Kim's violent history, a suspected serial killer who served only a partial sentence, is now loose on the streets. Everyone expects the killing to start again. The stage is now set. On one side is Kim, a freed predator. On the other is Hee-ju, a victim whose entire life has been shaped by his violence. Working in the very heart of the justice system that failed her. And watching them both is Detective Yang, a man burdened by the past and sworn to prevent a new nightmare. Following his superior's orders, Chief Yang assigns 2 detectives to surveil Kim around the clock. As they watch, they discuss Kim's infamous modus operandi, a signature of pure cruelty. He would break his victims' arms and legs first, immobilizing them. Then, he would wrap plastic over their faces and use a dog leash to strangle them to death. He was only caught 15 years ago because an anonymous tip led police to a murder in progress. Now, under the watchful eyes of the police, Kim's monstrous impulses immediately stir. He hires a prostitute. After a violent encounter, the old bloodlust rises within him. He begins to wrap plastic around her face, ready to repeat his signature kill. But at the last second he stops. He knows the police are watching. With a terrifying act of self-control, he lets the traumatized woman go. She flees to her waiting car, where her pimp is waiting, and she furiously swears never to be sent to such an animal again. Unbeknownst to Kim or the police, a third party is also watching this scene from the shadows. It is Hee-ju. She had been stalking the prostitute and the pimp, her own target in a secret plan. Her intention was to murder them herself and frame Kim for it, hoping to finally put him on death row. But before she can act, a mysterious man appears. With brutal efficiency, he slits the pimp's throat and then murders the prostitute in front of her. Hee-ju watches, shocked, as her intended victims are killed by someone else. She retreats, confused and frustrated, wondering who has done her work for her. For years, she has meticulously researched every detail of Kim's past murders and his associates. Her entire life has become a long, cold plan for vengeance, and her first move has failed. The next day, the police discover the double homicide. Chief Yang is immediately convinced Kim is responsible. Despite his officer's surveillance, he confronts his two detectives, who insist Kim never left his hotel that night. Still, Yang brings Kim in for questioning. Kim is smug and dismissive, claiming he was in his room all morning and that the prostitute left his hotel alive and well. With no evidence to hold him, Yang is forced to let him go. As Kim walks out of the police station, he literally bumps into Hee-ju, knocking her to the floor. He offers his hand to help her up. As she takes it, he glances at her ID card, learning her name: Hee-ju. The moment his skin touches hers, a wave of revulsion passes through her. The moment he leaves, she rushes to a bathroom and scrubs her hand raw under scalding water, physically sickened by the touch of her father's killer. That night, Hee-ju's personal trauma compounds. She visits her mother, only to witness her stepfather beating her again. Furious, Hee-ju waits outside for him. When he emerges, she confronts him, demanding to know why he hurts her mother. The vile man mocks her and threatens to kill her if she bothers him again. A lifetime of pain, from her father's murder to her mother's abuse, erupts within Hee-ju in that dark alley. Consumed by a blinding rage, she picks up a heavy stone and, in a brutal, unrestrained attack, beats her abusive stepfather to death. Hee-ju's impulsive killing of her stepfather sets off a chain of tragic events. The next morning, Kim finds the two detectives assigned to watch him asleep in their car. He mocks them, warning that he might commit murder while they nap. He then goes for a jog, where he stumbles upon a crime scene, the dead body of Hee-ju's stepfather. A crowd is gathered, and Kim immediately becomes paranoid, fearing he will be framed. He scans the onlookers and spots Hee-ju, her face half hidden. Intrigued, he follows her, but she expertly loses him in a park and returns home. The police, led by Yang, naturally suspect Kim of this third murder since his release. They inform Hee-ju's mother, who is devastated, consumed by grief and perhaps guilt over her own life. Hee-ju's mother returns home and commits suicide. When Hee-ju arrives to check on her, she finds her mother's body. The weight of her actions crashes down on her. In her rage, she killed her stepfather. But it was her mother who paid the ultimate price. Her quest for vengeance is already claiming innocent lives, starting with her own family. We are then introduced to the real killer of the prostitute and pimp. His name is Young Min-soo, a butcher who runs a meat shop. He is the mysterious figure Hee-ju saw. Min-soo now sets his sights on Kim. He goes to Kim's hotel to kill him. Kim, however, is no fool. He anticipates an attack and waits in his bathroom, armed with a knife. When Min-soo enters, Kim strikes first, stabbing him in the hand. Min-soo doesn't cry out. At that moment, Detective Yang arrives at the hotel room door, checking on Kim. Kim steps out to meet him, leaving the wounded Min-soo hiding silently inside the bathroom. Kim sees him but says nothing. Yang senses something is wrong and turns, but Min-soo has already slipped away. Later, over a tense meal, Yang confronts Kim about the recent murders. Kim coldly denies them, and then delivers a chilling boast. He confesses that he didn't kill 7 people but 15, with the bodies of the additional 8 never found. Enraged, Yang smashes a bottle over Kim's head and drags him outside. But Kim just laughs, refusing to repeat his confession on the record. He taunts Yang, suggesting he might end up murdered like his old partner, Hee-ju's father. Yang nearly shoots him on the spot, but is restrained by his junior officer. Meanwhile, Hee-ju, drowning in guilt and refocusing her rage, delves back into her research on Kim's old crimes. Her sharp mind makes a critical discovery. The murder patterns in the old cases aren't consistent. She deduces a terrifying truth. There wasn't one serial killer 15 years ago, but 2. The first was Kim. The second, she now realizes, is the man who killed the prostitute and pimp. The butcher, Min-soo. The game has just become infinitely more complex. The past reveals the dark bond between Kim and Min-soo. A flashback shows they were childhood friends in an orphanage, united by a shared sadistic pathology. They enjoyed torturing and killing small animals together, a practice that evolved into a mutual taste for murder. In the present, the police investigation catches up. Detective Yang discovers that Kim made several calls to a single number after his release. That number belongs to Min-soo. Further digging reveals that 15 years ago, It was Min-soo who tipped off the police, leading to Kim's arrest. The reason? Kim had kidnapped and murdered Min-soo's girlfriend. Their friendship shattered into a festering grudge, with Min-soo sending Kim to prison as revenge. Now both men are hunting each other. Kim tracks Min-soo down at his butcher shop. He confronts his old friend, demanding to know why he was betrayed. Min-soo reveals the truth about his girlfriend. Kim, feeling no remorse, only rage, threatens Min-soo, promising he will beg for death every single day. He then leaves, a walking promise of future violence. Unbeknownst to both men, a third, more calculating predator is already moving. Hee-ju has been preparing. She buys a dog leash, the signature tool of Kim's murders, and collects bags of shattered glass bottles. That night, as Min-soo returns to his home, he steps into a carefully laid trap. His floor is covered in broken glass, and the entire area is soaked with water. Hee-ju is waiting for him. Before he can react, she throws a live electrical wire onto the wet, glass-strewn floor. Min-soo is electrocuted, convulsing and dying in agony. Hee-ju then executes the next phase of her plan. She takes Min-soo's corpse to Kim's hotel room. She wraps his face in plastic and binds his neck with the dog leash, perfectly replicating Kim's old murder method. She then hides, waiting for Kim to return. When Kim enters and sees the staged body, he instantly understands he is being framed. It is then that Hee-ju strikes from behind, plunging a knife deep into his back near his spine. She tells him the wound is crippling. If he moves, he will die. As Kim lies paralyzed in pain and shock, she reveals herself not as a random assailant, but as the architect of his downfall. She tells him her childhood dream was to make him pay for his crimes. Kim, ever the predator, dares her to kill him, threatening to hunt her down if he survives. But Hee-ju has a more poetic punishment in mind. She tells him a quick death is too easy. He will go back to prison, he will be convicted for Min-soo's murder, and he will sit on death row, counting down every single day to his execution, knowing exactly when and how he will die. It is the ultimate psychological torment for a man who dealt only in sudden violence. As Kim loses consciousness, Hee-ju calmly leaves him there with Min-soo's body. Moments later, Kim regains his senses to the sound of police sirens approaching. Knowing he is about to be caught in the frame-up, he musters every ounce of strength to drag himself away, crawling into a neighboring hotel room to hide. The police arrive at the hotel and find Min-soo's staged body. Detective Yang sees the blood on the bed and deduces that Min-soo might have wounded Kim in a struggle. Believing Kim is still hiding in the building, they begin a room-to-room search. In one room, they find a young woman and a man, both badly injured and covered in blood. Rushing to save them, the police put the couple into an ambulance, but Yang notices blood is still dripping from under the bed. He looks and makes a horrifying discovery. The woman's real murdered boyfriend is stuffed underneath. The injured friend was Kim in disguise. He has just escaped in the ambulance. Inside the vehicle, as the police officer tends to the traumatized young woman, Kim rises from his gurney and coldly murders both the officer and the woman before fleeing into the city. The next day, the police department is in chaos. Kim has humiliated them, escaping right from under their noses. The senior officer berates Yang and his team, demanding Kim's immediate capture before he kills again. Meanwhile, Hee-ju, believing her plan has succeeded and Kim will soon be arrested, prepares to leave the country for a taekwondo competition in London. She thinks her 15-year mission is finally over. But Kim is not finished. He goes to Min-soo's apartment, sees the broken glass trap, and pieces everything together. He realizes a specific woman, the one he bumped into at the police station, set him up. To fight the narrative, he calls a news agency, claiming he is being framed for all the recent murders. Hee-ju sees this news report at the airport and realizes Kim is still free and fighting back. Her work is not done. She cancels her trip and returns home. At the police station, the forensics report delivers another blow. No fingerprints or DNA evidence linking Kim to Min-soo's murder. Without solid proof, they cannot tie him to the old crimes or the new ones. The frame-up is failing. Kim, now a fugitive, begins his own investigation. At a cyber cafe, he researches recent murders and comes across the death of Hee-ju's stepfather. Connecting the dots, he realizes Hee-ju is the daughter of the detective he murdered 15 years ago. He now understands her motive. This is a personal vendetta. The cafe manager recognizes Kim from the news and calls the police. Yang and his team swarm the location. In a desperate escape, Kim injures an officer, steals Yang's own police car, and speeds away. Yang alerts the entire department, launching a massive citywide manhunt. But Kim executes a brilliant brazen move. Instead of running, he drives the stolen police car directly to the one place no one expects him, the main police station. He walks right into the lion's den, where Hee-ju also happens to be, still working her part-time job. The hunter and his prey are now in the same building, with the entire police force scrambling to find him outside. Hee-ju realizes Kim is inside the police station, but she doesn't raise an alarm. Instead, she goes home, knowing the final confrontation is near. Inside the station, Kim, disguised and claiming to be a transferred officer, asks a colleague about the family of the detective he killed 15 years ago. The officer tells him the detective only had a daughter named Hee-ju, who works right there. Kim now has his confirmation and his target. He cleverly extracts her home address from the unsuspecting officer and leaves. Hee-ju, preparing for the end, buys another dog leash. She goes home, wraps a scarf around her neck, and waits. She knows he will come. The police, realizing Kim was at the station and caught Hee-ju's address, mobilize. Detective Yang leads a full team to her apartment, racing to protect her. But they are too late. Kim arrives first. In the shadows outside her home, Hee-ju ambushes him with a knife, but Kim is ready. In a brutal exchange, they stab each other. Kim tells her she should have killed him when she had the chance at the hotel. Hee-ju retorts that he killed her father and will pay for it. Then she runs, leading him on a chase to a nearby children's park. She calls Yang and gives him their location. In the empty park, Hee-ju stands on a swing. Kim confronts her, asking if she killed her own stepfather. Hee-ju admits it, saying they are the same now, both killers, and that it is all because of him. She says the time for both of them to be punished has come. Confused, Kim orders her down. Instead, Hee-ju throws her scarf at him and tells him to give it to Uncle Yang. Then she reveals her final devastating act. She has connected the dog leash around her own neck to the chains of the swing. As Kim watches in stunned silence, she kicks off, hanging herself with the very tool he used to murder his victims. At that exact moment, Detective Yang and his team arrive. They see Kim standing frozen, holding Hee-ju's scarf, with her lifeless body swinging before him. It is the ultimate frame-up, the final piece of evidence she could provide, her own suicide, staged as his murder. With the killer at the scene and the victim's dying act pointing to him, Kim has no defense. The court finds him guilty and sentences him to death. In the aftermath, a grieving Detective Yang goes through Hee-ju's apartment. He discovers the truth of her 15-year obsession. Her walls are covered in research, plans, and timelines, a shrine to her vendetta. In her quest to ensure Kim received the death penalty, Hee-ju became a killer herself, and ultimately, her own final victim.